happen. You know who you are. Thank you so much. And I want to give special thanks to Anami for writing beautiful daily newsletters for the past week or so. So AACA 2021 has finally come to an end. We're so thankful for everyone who made this possible, including all of you who are attending, our speakers, our sponsor for this event, Stanmore, via the Emerging Awareness Fund with PETA.
Now, before we start, we'd like to invite you to join us in observing a minute of silence to remember why we are all here. So please, if you can find a comfortable position and close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. So let's observe 1 minute of silence. We remember those who are born into captivity and cruelty. We remember those who are oppressed under speciesism. We remember those who share this planet with us. We are here in solidarity for those who want to live in freedom. We are here in solidarity with those whose voices are ignored even when they resist. We come together for a better world for all. You may open your eyes now. Thank you very much for observing this 1 minute of silence with us.
Now we'll have a music performance. Aside from animal rights and environmental issues, Fajar's other big passions in life is music. Having been writing songs and sporadically performing since his teens, Fajar is excited to be here at AACA 2021 as a platform to combine and showcase all of his biggest passions in the form of a song. Fajar, would you like to say a few words about the song?
Thanks, Hang. I'm quite nervous about this one. So I'm not performing live, as you can see, so it will be a video. And I am accompanied by a friend of mine called Michael Septian. He's on guitar, and it's got a lot of lyrics, the song, and that's why I'm looking at my handphone, because I wrote the lyrics but couldn't remember them. So I hope you enjoyed it. I think it's pretty cute. I think you will like it.
People's blood running in my veins, please.
no one questions divine devices, the premise destruction, just with logic, ethics, and reason, then we go what for? Stupid, malicious, and ugly, century of turkeys, letting slide 'cause his heart is funny. Wait till you see a group of friends lying for their brooding. No one's there when their blood starts to pour. Suddenly, one cow begging in yells for a minute he'll never get. Dead people's bodies clogging up our veins. Please,
And now that AACA 2021 is coming to an end, we have had so many amazing workshops. Let's take some time to reflect on what we have learned this year. So before we hear what you found useful, we would like to share some of our favorite takeaways. So again, I can make a quick start. I want to mention two workshops. The first is by Sabrina Sabai, talking about effective advocacy. There were just so many questions that she asked and that we can think about before we start. And I think that we should also continue asking ourselves when we are doing advocacy to make sure we are as effective as we can. One being, what is the process for change in your existing system? So I think what Sabrina argued is that it's through looking at past successes that we can understand the workings of the system, and then we can look at what is needed to change procedures and laws, etc. And then we can ask what we ourselves can do. So I find that really useful. And another quote that I think is that I want to share here is, she said, being adaptable doesn't mean compromising. It just means that you need to know when to give or take. So I find that very insightful as well. And just very quickly, the other workshop that I appreciated is Minato's workshop, Minato from Animal Liberator Japan. And he talked about avoiding vilifying the target, so not using the us versus them approach. I think it's very important because ultimately, most, if not all of us, are forced to live within the system that we're living in currently, and our goals are to change the system, but not targeting the individuals. So these are some of my favorite takeaways, and I know that Fajar wanted to share some of his learnings as well, and I'm not sure if his internet connection is allowing him to do so. So does anyone oh, okay, perfect timing. I just shared my learning.
Thank you, Angel. I feel like the session just kept getting better every day. I think it culminated with, well, we just had Sahati, which was very it was more relevant to me, I feel, because it's in Indonesia. So, and there were people that I personally know in the session, so that was great. But the other sessions that really stood out for me were from the one from Norma, it was a couple of days ago, and from Pratik from yesterday. And well, they're both from India. And I think based on their sessions, I did learn a lot that there's a lot of similarities between what happens in India versus what happens in Indonesia. A lot of cultural similarities, a lot of similarities in terms of the approach that you have to take to really get the message across. Sometimes you have to be kind of aggressive, you know, and to be very critical and not take any well, not just be uncompromising really in your approach, because I think in Indonesia as well, animal rights is just something that's, I would say, fairly new. It's a concept that I think most people are not quite grasping yet. So based on their sessions, I learned a lot about having the paradigm and the mindset to challenge the status quo, and to put that into practice, and which is, for example, what Norma has been doing for many years. And I think that her type of advocacy and activism is feasible in Indonesia as well. So that's what I learned.
Absolutely been fantastic meeting all of you. You've all been so great. I'm so grateful to you guys for organizing something like this. I've been working here on my own my whole life. So to meet people who are working in other countries, especially in Asia, has been so great. So that's been wonderful. And I loved I loved the sessions from Sabrina, the one that advocacy is for everyone, and Julia's session, obviously, which I broke down, because Sabrina's session made me feel really like comfortable with the fact that there are no such structures here for animal advocacy, but it's something I can completely do on my own. So it's very empowering, whereas Julia's session is very affirming. It's intimidating yet affirming, being a brown queer person here in an Islamic country. It was great. And what I would really like to see next year, which is also what I was sharing in the breakout room, is I don't know if you guys have done this before, but for me, at least, I would be really interested in seeing people who are, for example, setting up farm animal sanctuaries, and then people who are working in conservation with local communities, where often the choices we have to make are going to be tough and difficult. For example, in Pakistan, we have trophy hunting, and it is a choice conservationists have had to make. You have to work with hunters. You have to make a lot of complicated choices. So I would really like to hear from people who are working in that field, and the discussions that are happening there about the difficult choices they have to make. And a speaker that I would really like to see would be Frans de Waal. He's a primatologist, and he has done a lot of work on making the case for animal emotions, and for he has worked a lot for primates and getting them recognized. So it would be fantastic to see him. So yeah, and about the conference in general, I love you all. I'm so happy to have met you.
Thank you, Soha, so much for sharing that. And we will definitely take your feedback into our next conference. So thank you so much. Is anyone else would like to share? Please raise your hand by clicking reactions, and Joaquin's here. Hi.
Yeah, actually, I raised my hand because we didn't choose a person, but Soha already did the resume of our group. But yeah, as she said, it's so lovely to see all of you. I'm so proud of you working for the animals, and I know like your context are usually some of your contexts are much more difficult to do activism than mine. And so that I'm so thankful that you are doing the work. And yeah, in general, what I like is all the diversity of people, of countries, of ways of activism. I think that's really important to that we could see how different people in different contexts do different things, and they are all working for the same goal. So I think that's important, because each person can relate to, oh, I like to be like this or like that, or get inspired by a different talk, depending who they are and what's their context. So I think that diversity is really important, and we have a lot of diverse talks, and so I really like that. I hope next year we have more new diverse talks, and I hope I see new projects from some people over here that get inspired by this and start new projects. So new sanctuaries and groups. Yeah, I trust that this will increase and grow so fast in the next year in Asia, because this is what happened in my country. I'm also from a South American country. Like, we are not Europe or USA, which the movement is like has been for a longer time. But I have seen in my country how fast it can grow. So I trust, like, in your countries, it will grow as well. So yeah, I hope to see all new projects next year. And I will also love to see you in person. So I want to travel, go back to Asia maybe next year. And now it's so nice to have people I know, activists who I can talk and ask questions and maybe do activism there. And that was something I wanted to say. In my case, as a non-Asian, I really wanted to come here to know how it's like to be an activist in your country, how's the cultural influences the activism. So if one day I go there, I want to be aware of the context and not just do the same I'm doing here and repeat it. So I think that's really important to know local people and who know the culture, religion, so I can learn from you, and yeah, and I can visit you. And okay, that's all for me.
Thank you so much, Joaquin, for sharing your thoughts and experience during the conference. I think you reminded us of the very important point that we have to always be mindful of the cultural context and all the different political, economic, and historical contexts in which we're doing our activism. So I think our conference, I'm really glad that our conference were able to help you with that. So thank you so much for joining. And I just want to acknowledge that many of the participants here today have been attending most of our workshops. So thank you so much for attending our conference and your dedication to learning to be a better and more effective animal advocate. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Cajo, and thank you everyone who has shared their takeaways from our conference. It's really good to see you on the last day. Okay, so we can finally move on to project announcement slots. So I'm very excited to say that we have 4 organizations from worldwide who are going to share really exciting projects. So let's give the floor to Aditya from Animal Ethics first. Over to you, Aditya.
Thank you, Ellie. Let me just share my screen.
Sorry, Charles, yes.
Is it visible?
Yes.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Aditya, and I work with Animal Ethics as their coordinator in India. And today I just want to give a brief snapshot about what we are doing, what our work is like. And we'll also be giving a much more detailed talk the following year. So I hope to invite you all to the next the event that's happening with AACA in 2022 as well. So yeah, like to give you a brief, again, as most of us work, we are trying to build a better world for all sentient animals. So at Animal Ethics, we're trying to do the same. And primarily, we focus on raising concern about anti-speciesism and its consequences. We focus on the ethical arguments as well as the academic work that can be done on anti-speciesism. And we do this to activists. We raise concern among activists, general public, as well as influential people, because we believe that the theory of change is that when influential people or activists have a certain motivation to do it, then slowly it trickles down into the rest of the public as well, and it creates change. And we are doing this by making our information more widely available. For example, the language barrier is very influential in the information being transmitted to different countries. And I'm very thankful for the Animal Alliance Asia to organizing this conference, because it is allowing us to make these connections and allow the information about animal advocacy to penetrate into different countries and different cultures. And we also hope to help other activists so that they can be more effective. So we are really focused on making effective interventions so that we can focus on areas which are more neglected and which can have a huge impact. We primarily do this through four major means. We do research and we publish them in journals, on websites, on blogs. We also do online outreach, like giving talks to different groups and conducting webinars, etc. We also do offline outreach. We do the usual street advocacy and public outreach at different fests and events. And we also do talks and meetings at different academic institutions and animal institutions as well as animal conferences like this one. So as I talked about the language barrier, so English, well, it is spoken in India, but Hindi is still like the most widespread language that is understood by like the majority of the audience. And there's very less content about animal advocacy in Hindi. So we were hoping to focus on this part, and we translated our website, which contains a lot of detailed information about speciesism, different arguments for and against it, different forms of exploitation. And we've translated it into Hindi with the help of a lot of volunteers. And we are also trying to disseminate it into different Hindi speaking audience. And we've also published a video course which covers different aspects of speciesism and the ethical theories associated with it in detail on our YouTube channel. And this has received very positive feedback. So if you're interested in learning more about our work in much more detail, I would encourage you to check out our YouTube channel. And yeah, as I mentioned, we also give talks in academic institutions. So far, we've given talks in over 40 universities to life sciences students to encourage them to life sciences as well as philosophy students to encourage them to look into animal ethics as well as the different interventions that can be done to improve the lives of animals. And one thing where we are trying to focus more on is this topic of wild animal suffering. So when we talk about speciesism, usually the focus is on farm animals, rightly so, because a huge number of animals are exploited by humans. But we are also trying to bring in wild animal suffering as well into the ambit of anti-speciesism, because the interests of animals in the wild matter just as much as farm animals or, pet animals. So companion animals, sorry. So we are trying to debunk this notion that the lives of animals in the wild is idyllic, it's romanticized, that they're all living a beautiful life, they are all having a positive life if humans don't intervene. But animals in the wild do suffer from a lot of natural causes as well as human-caused harms as well. And for example, this elephant that's fallen into a puddle is being helped by humans because humans do care about animals that are suffering in the wild as well. So they're trying to pull out the elephant. And due to its size, it's very difficult for an elephant to escape from a mud pool. So they do definitely need assistance in being able to escape from that harm. Similarly, there are natural disasters. We've seen forest fires and floods increasing in this decade. And for example, this one was in Australia where many animals perished, and humans did go out of their way and fed animals, rehabilitated them, and took them to rescue centers to take care of them. And similarly with floods as well. This is in Australia, for example, where floods do have a serious negative impact on the lives of wild animals. And we do see individuals and organizations going out of their way into the nature to help animals that are affected by these natural harms. So yeah, but the usual argument is that when we go into nature, we don't know how it affects the lives of animals because we might end up affecting the the complicated relationship that exists in an ecosystem. So what we are doing at Animal Ethics is promoting research and academic work to understand what the lives of wild animals are like and how can we help them without disrupting the relationships that exist in nature. So we are doing this through promotion of a field called welfare biology, and we are funding academics and researchers to conduct more research into the lives of wild animals and how we can help them. And we are also, so these are some examples of the studies that we funded. For example, we funded a study in Greece on understanding how wildfires affect the lives of wild animals and what can be done to help them. And we are also looking into a study on how urban wild animals, for example, squirrels, bats, rats, snakes, which are under close proximity of humans but are still classified as wild animals, what are their lives like and how they can be helped. So these are some examples of the studies that we've conducted. And so basically the objective is to understand what the situation of animals in the wild is like and how can we help them. And how can, if you're interested in supporting our work, these are some ways in which you can support us in amplifying our work and in helping more animals and raising more concern about anti-speciesism among people. So, for example, video editing, translating, editing texts from Asia, for example, our goal is to increase the number of languages in Asia which have the content on animal advocacy. So if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to accept your support. And yeah, I will be covering in more detail about wild animal suffering in the coming AACA in 2022. So I would like to invite you guys to join for the session, because wild animal suffering is this huge topic that there's a lot of intricacies involved and a lot of ways in which we can help animals in the wild, because the number of farm animals are huge, and also the number of wild animals in nature are also huge. So we need to bring in both of them into this category of anti-speciesism and try to help all of them as much as possible. So yeah, that's my pitch for today, and thank you so much. These are our social media handles, and you can reach out to us at info@animalethics.org. I will put my email down in the chat. So if you're interested to learn more about our work, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aditya. We've got very excited participants about your project. And we've got some really good comments. Thank you for your work. That's amazing. I can't believe it. Some people commented on wildlife as well. Let me come back to it. Wild animal suffering is so underrated. There are very few academics engaged in conservation of animal ethics in Japan and other Asian countries as well, I imagine. So your project is great. You're doing incredibly important work in a really long-term effective manner. Really wonderful work. So thank you so much, Aditya, again for sharing that. I think someone from our team has shared the link to your YouTube channel. I hope that's the correct one. And feel free to share your email address again in chat, please, Aditya. Thank you so much. Yes, we are looking forward to seeing you next year. You're already registered as one of the speakers, so thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the next project announcement. Let's welcome David and Gerard from Vegan Linguists.
Hi, thank you so much. Aditya, really appreciate what you're doing, and I'm really excited with animal ethics. Especially, I like the point that you're talking about where we have language barriers, which is what our project's about. So I thought that would be a good segue. So let's see, let's share our screen. There we go. Just as a quick introduction, my name is David. I'm the founder of Vegan Hacktivists. We're a community of volunteers that build technology and offer free services to any animal rights or protection activists. And we're here to present our newest project, Vegan Linguists. But before we start that, also I want to quickly thank Animal Lives Conference Asia for having us. It's super cool. Really inspired by your work, and yeah, thanks for having us. So Vegan Linguists is basically a service for content translation. So if you're an activist or an organization that continuously pushes out content, you can submit it to us, and then we'll translate it for free, or our volunteers will translate it for free to any language that you need it. And on the flip side, if you're an activist who just knows a second language, you can already contribute to the movement by signing up to a Vegan Linguists and translating content for other activists and organizations, which can have quite a big impact. So if you spend 5 minutes on your Fridays just translating an article or a research paper or anything that needs translation, you can have a really big impact making content more accessible around the world. So yeah, we're really excited to present it. We'll give you guys a quick demo. This is Gerard. He'll introduce himself.
Hey everyone, yeah. So once again, my name is Gerard. I'm going to give you a quick tour of how the website works. So essentially, you get to the page and you can sign up either as a translator or an author, as we call those who submit content for translation. And so as an author, you'll be able to request translations and you'll be given this text editor. It's got a bunch of different rich text functionality. So it should be suitable for blog posts, if you've got images, videos, links, headings, all of that kind of stuff, different fonts. You'll be able to reflect that in here so that translators can keep that same formatting. When you submit it for translation, a translator will see it on a list of content that needs to be translated. They'll be able to click on it, claim it for translation, and then they'll be able to start the translation process. So they'll see a split screen where they've got the original content on the left side, and they'll be able to type in the translation on the right side, again, with the same formatting and all of that. And once it's submitted, you'll be able to see the translation alongside any other languages that have also been translated. So we've got this one piece of content that already has complete translations in French, German, Italian, Spanish. We support more languages than this, but this piece of content we've only requested for these translations. And you'll be able to see if they're still in progress and whatnot. And throughout this whole process, you can actually have a conversation with the translator and they can respond back in this tab right here. So if the translator has clarifying questions or if you have any notes that you want to share with the translator, to provide them with extra context, that kind of stuff, you can do that. And we also have notification functionality built in. So on the website and in your email, you'll get constant updates. So if somebody's claimed your request or if they've submitted a translation, if they've left a comment, you'll be updated throughout the entire process. This is a pretty new website and we're really excited to have launched it. We want more people to sign up to translate and also to submit content. And we're really excited. We want feedback. We're still working on things, so please sign up. And sorry about the time. Please sign up and give us your feedback. Yeah, one more thing. 2 things that we're really excited to launch sometime in the near future are a review system to ensure more accurate translations and also gamification for translators to stay more engaged. Those are probably the next 2 things. And that's all I've got. I'll hand it back to David. Thanks for your time.
Thanks. Yeah. So yeah, like Gerard said, we're really excited about the project. We think in general that our movement focuses a lot on English and providing English resources. So being from Indonesia, I've been there for about a year. I lived there. And I could see how the content that we were providing was much harder for people to understand. So that's where some of this idea came from. So we're just really glad to have something that we can help break those language barriers in a sense. So if you guys want to check it out, it's veganlinguists.org. And you can always email us anytime and it's actively being developed. So we'd love to get your feedback. And yeah, thanks again for having us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, David and Gerard. Please feel free to share that link in chat as well so people can tune in. We've again got great comments about your project. This is so cool. What an important project. Great idea for making information more accessible. This is very appealing, amazing project for larger reach. Very simple but effective idea. So yeah, everyone loves your project. Thank you so much, David, Gerard. Okay, let's move on to the next project announcement from Andres from Shrimp Welfare Project. Please welcome Andres.
Thank you very much. Thank you for giving us a chance to speak here to your audience. And it's fantastic to hear the work that you and other organizations are doing in Asia. We're very excited about that. Now let me move on to presenting our idea. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So 0, this is a very important number that we always focus on. This is the number which until very recently represented the number of organizations that were focused on exclusively on the welfare of shrimp worldwide. This is not to say that there are no organizations that are currently paying attention to this issue, and we're actually very fortunate to be standing on the shoulders of giants, so to speak. And by this, I'm referring to organizations such as Rethink Priorities, Eurogroup for Animals, Crustacean Compassion, the Aquatic Animal Alliance, and specifically here in Asia, Animal Alliance Asia, Tambuyog Development Center in Philippines, and Animals Australia. And I'm sure I'm missing many. But all of these organizations are focusing on many different things, which is understandable given the current state of affairs. But it also means that there's room and desperate need for organizational focus into the welfare of shrimps, which are, in our opinion, morally relevant beings. Now that 0 stands in stark contrast to this other number, which is 380 billion. This is the midpoint of the estimates by Rethink Priorities of the number of shrimps which are killed in farms globally each year. This is 4 times the total number of humans who have ever walked this planet. And a single species, Lithopineus vaname or Pacific white-leg shrimp, represents the lion's share of this number. It's 300 billion are the estimates of shrimps of this species which are killed in farms each year. And this is the number that gets my co-founder and me out of bed every morning. Not only that, but also it's growing at a very fast pace, with some analysts estimating that it will double within this decade. And there's not only a large number of animals, but there's also a very large number of welfare concerns with the way that they are reared, which can and should be addressed. And some of the main ones are eye stalk ablation. This is a practice which is potentially the most visibly barbaric practice in the shrimp farming cycle. It is cutting or crushing the eye of the female shrimps for them to mature quicker and foster egg laying. Fortunately, there's been recent work done by one of the members of our board of advisors, actually Simao Zacarias, which has proven that this practice is unnecessary and it can be phased out without sacrificing productivity. Then another welfare concern is slaughter. For the most part, shrimp are pulled out of the water and then submerged in saltwater ice slurry, where their heart rate and brain functions decrease and eventually they die. This can be a very slow and painful process, but thankfully, Compassionate World Farming is already working on improving the conditions of slaughter for white-leg shrimp and have even run trial tests to test large-scale electrical stunning systems. We're very excited that an organization of their caliber is focusing on this topic, and we hope that our work in raising the voice of shrimps will help their work as well. And finally, we have the welfare concerns that we at Shrimp Welfare Project focus on, which are the ones that we do not see with the naked eye, but which are the ones that potentially affect shrimp continuously in certain farms and potentially for their whole lives if they are not managed with a concern for welfare. The first of these issues is water quality. Water quality is arguably the largest driver of welfare for aquatic animals. And we feel that it is very important. For example, if we use oxygen as an example, below certain critical levels, shrimps die, but even in slightly higher levels, even those that survive can suffer greatly. They struggle to move, to eat and grow, to fight disease. Just as virtually other animal in the world, shrimp need oxygen to survive and thrive. But fortunately, improving dissolved oxygen levels in water appears to be tractable. The other main issue that we focus on is stocking densities, which can lead to increased stress, thereby compromised immune systems, and therefore increased susceptibility to diseases. Finally, a snapshot of shrimp market in the world. As you can see on the left-hand side, most of the shrimps are produced in Asia, with the top 10 producing countries all located in Asia, except for Ecuador. And on the right-hand side, you can see the importers of shrimps, which are China, and then the US and Europe representing about 50% of the import market. We feel this gives us a good lever to not only work with producers in Asia, but also with importers in the EU and the US, which where traditionally consumers and retailers have shown greater concern for welfare, which gives us an important tool. And that's it. I've run out of time, but we're very keen to identify more organizations who are already working with shrimp farmers, ideally in India and in Vietnam, and would be open, who might be open to partnering with us to run our pilot tests. And if there's anything else that you think might help us, including critical feedback, please send us an email or reach out to me directly. Thank you very much. I hand it back to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Andres. Again, if you want to share your contact details in chat, please do that. Yeah, thank you so much for doing this project. We had a workshop on dolphin hunting, and that speaker was talking about the importance of doing a thorough research of the region and identifying the area of that's neglected that really needs more work on. So we think that you're doing exactly that. We've had some comments, Cajo from our team, saying she was trying to write a paper on shrimp and she found no organization at the time, and she wishes someone you had existed when she was writing a paper. And someone else commented, thank you for working on the area that's neglected. Yeah, so thank you so much for doing that. Okay, let's move on to the next project announcement by Brielle from Encompass Global Majority Caucus. Let's welcome Brielle.
Hello, everyone. Let me get my slide sharing. Okay, hopefully they load, but my name is Brielle Ringer, and I am from Encompass Movement, and I'm our Global Majority Caucus and Social Media Manager. And so Encompass is an organization that is dedicated to building an equitable animal protection movement, and we're particularly focused on racial equity because we're very much aware that animal protection is largely white-led across the globe. And so we really want to foster racial equity to be able to have a space where everyone can bring 100% of their brilliance to work for animals, and thereby all of us being able to achieve the goals and visions that we have for animal protection more effectively. And so our work is really twofold. So on one side of our work, we work with mostly white-led organizations and do education around racial equity, supporting them, creating a more racially inclusive and diverse work environment. And then we also, on the other side of that, we uplift and support and do community building with animal advocates of the global majority. And so the latter is what I'm going to focus on sharing a little bit more about here, more pertinent to you all and the side of the work that I work with most. So let's see, there we go. We are working to uplift Black, Indigenous, and people of the global majority that are advocates in animal protection. And so who that includes are really people who are Black, Brown, Indigenous, Latinx, Asian, Pacific Islander, Middle Eastern, and more. And so a term that you're probably more familiar with is people of color. And we use the term people of the global majority to, one, be a bit more global, have like a bit of more of a global reference. And also it's a way to talk about our shared experience without centering whiteness. And so people of the global majority is encompassing of people of color, but just a more empowering term that we prefer to use. And essentially, like I said, it's people who are non-white, just so we're all in the same frame of reference. And so there's two separate opportunities that we have available for animal advocates of the global majority. And we have our Global Majority Caucus. Both of these opportunities are completely free to participate in for animal advocates of the global majority. And the caucus is really a space to connect with other advocates globally who are part of the Global Majority Caucus. And so it's a space where we can share resources. We have a Slack channel, which is actually where I found out about this conference happening, and have connected with a few of the other people who I see in a part of the session today. And so people will share work opportunities, uplift the projects that they're working on. And then we also have monthly community building events where we just get to share space together, share about the challenges we might be facing, things that are present in our reality, ways that we can support one another. And it's good to just like share more connection and build with one another in a movement, in a space where we may have felt othered, where we may not feel as connected to one another. And we also have professional development opportunities. So one of those is a leadership development program where it's to help build up your leadership skills. And there's actually an opportunity to pitch a project to funders. So that's a really special opportunity that we have available. We have a book club where we just connect about, specific topics and books that relate to our work. So right now we're reading Encompass's new book, Anti-Racism and Animal Advocacy. I know Poppy's a part of that. And so that's the caucus. And becoming a member gives you access to that community, again, completely free. And then we have our talent database. And the database is really created to help connect animal advocates of the global majority to work opportunities. So whether you're seeking a paid position, speaking engagements, consulting gigs, board positions, you would create a profile with your bio, your photo, sharing the kind of opportunities that you're looking for. And we intend to then share that with organizations across our movement so that they can't continue to say that, oh, we don't know where to find diverse talent for these opportunities. We really want to be a solution for that. And to become a member of the caucus or create a profile on the database, these are the links that you can go to, and I'll drop those in the chat when I'm done as well. Again, totally free to participate for people who are of the global majority in animal protection. We would love to stay connected with you. So if you have any questions about anything that I shared, you can email me at bringer@encompassmovement.org. And for anyone who joins the talent database and the caucus, I always love to have a one-on-one call with folks just to learn more about you. So I really hope to have that opportunity to talk to some more of you one-on-one and learn more about the amazing work that you're up to. And you can also follow us on social media at Encompass MVMT on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We just created a TikTok. We're going to get to make into some TikToks soon as well. And check out our website. So thank you so much. And I look forward to connecting with you all more.
Thank you so much, Brielle. I'm personally on the caucus as well, and I definitely recommend it to everyone here. Thank you so much for the presentation. And participants here seem to really like the term people of the global majority. Thank you for introducing us to that.
Thank you.
Okay, so the last organization we have is actually us. So Angel, let's get to it.
Yeah,
I'll
thank
share the
you.
screen.
Thank you, Ellie. So we are Animal Alliance Asia, as you all know, and we are very excited to share an announcement on behalf of our organization, and that is we'll be launching the Animal Advocacy Academy next year. So before we tell you what the Academy is about, let us explain a bit more about who we are. Ellie and myself co-founded AAA in 2019 after we found out the need for a space dedicated to activists, us here in Asia. Our vision is to create a just world free of animal exploitation. And our mission is to build a more inclusive, dynamic, and effective animal justice movement in Asia by empowering, supporting, educating, and mentoring local individuals and organizations. Since 2019, we have been very grateful and fortunate to have grown into a team with a total of volunteers, as you can see. So here are some of our team members, namely our coordinators of each team.
Thank you, Anjo. And this is why we exist. So vegan and animal justice advocacy need to be culturally, politically, and economically specific. We see the need for a more culturally relevant and inclusive advocacy in order to achieve a sustainable, diverse, and effective movement. And to achieve this, we organize educational events like this one to train advocates and also to offer a platform where we can learn from each other. And we have a super exciting academy coming soon in 2022 that caters to different cultural contexts. Let me play a little clip.
If you're watching this, you've probably taken some first steps towards creating a more compassionate world for all beings. And we know it's not easy.
Do you sometimes feel frustrated with how society is not changing fast enough? Do you wonder what you can do to help animals on top of living as a vegan? Now is the time to get learning. By attending Animal Advocacy Academy, you can learn to see the bigger picture of our movement, where we are, how we can achieve our goal together, and how you can contribute. The Academy provides you with knowledge and expertise to help you become a better advocate. Whatever your interests and skills are, we'll be covering 6 key topics: effective advocacy, ecology of social movements, movement building, diversity, equity, and inclusivity, systemic oppression and intersectionality, and leadership training. We offer the Academy in English,
广东话,
Nihongo, Hindi, Urdu, and also later on in
中文
Bahasa Indonesia.
Bahasa.
Please register your interest today, and we hope to see you all there.
Right, so as you just saw in the video clip, we're going to be covering 6 main topics that you can see on the screen now. And it will be rolled out in English, Japanese, Hindi, Urdu, Cantonese, and then in Bahasa Indonesia, Mandarin, and Burmese later on. And we're not just translating the English script into these languages, but we'll also be tailoring the workshop to suit each culture, context, political context, and all of that. So the participants can learn relevant information from each speakers. So who is it for? It's for absolutely everyone and anyone at any stages of your journey through veganism or animal justice advocacy. Please don't hesitate to attend it, even if you still don't identify yourself as an activist or advocate. This is the perfect opportunity for you to learn about it.
Thanks, Ellie. So here are some logistics. The Academy will take place around June to August 2022, and it operates on a pay-what-you-can basis, meaning you have the option to attend for free, or you can donate if you want to support us. If you're interested in applying, please fill out our interest form, which we will link in the chat box later on, so we can follow up with you with more details.
If you have any queries, please email us at info@animalallianceasia.org and also follow us on these social media pages so you can be up to date with what we're doing with our academy. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, everyone.
So please do register for that. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely
Thank you.
evening. Thank